Hey guys, it's Nat and welcome back to Stock My Tank. Today I'm going to be talking about how to deal with a neglected aquarium. It's the end of December. The last few weeks have been extremely crazy in my life between work and then having to figure out Christmas gifts. It has just been nonstop chaos in this house. So this aquarium I'm just super unhappy with right now. It is literally littered with Amazon sword plants, and what I'm going to do today is show you how I would address a neglected aquarium, how I'm going to bring this tank back to life. The other problem with this tank that we're facing is it's covered in pest snails, probably from overfeeding just because I've just been dropping in food and just haven't had time to deal with the aquarium. The good news is the filters were cleaned not too long ago, so the water quality is probably pretty good, but there's probably a lot of stuff to be done. So let's get into it. I will also just start this video off by saying, if you are someone who's dealing with a neglected aquarium, it doesn't matter if it has been days, weeks, months since somebody has taken action to clean the aquarium. Don't feel bad. Don't be hard on yourself. Life gets in the way. The only thing we can do is pick up the broken pieces and really try to make our aquariums the best they can be for its inhabitants. What I personally would start off doing is evaluating the aquarium, identifying a list of issues that it has. So for me, that's number one, pest snails. I'll show you that. Number two, I need to declutter a lot of the plants. The plants have just been growing like wild. It looks like a jungle. It's not really attractive, and it's been hard for the fish to actually move around and navigate through all the overgrown plants. Number three, I would look at water quality. So as I mentioned in the intro, the water quality is probably pretty decent on this tank because the filters were cleaned not even a month ago. This tank is running canister filters by Eheim, so I think, again, we're pretty good on that front, but I am going to do a water change. And last but not least, there is some nuisance algae that's been lurking and growing in the corner of this tank. So I'm going to definitely try to clean that out to the best of my ability. It's just gross looking, it's hair algae, and it's an eyesight, to be honest. So now let's take a quick tour of the tank in question. So as you can see, there's plants galore, there's dead plants, live plants, but it's all pretty much Amazon swords. I am planning to aquascape this tank in the new year. I'm really excited about that, but for now, this is what we are dealing with. This is the nuisance algae and all of the pest snails. That is just so gross looking. It isn't bothering the fish, but it's just honestly gross. And I know a lot of people deal with this, so I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna do to remove this issue. And then, as you can see, the water on top is in decent shape, but we could probably benefit from a water change. So that'll hopefully get the water to be a little bit clearer, and then we're gonna clean the glass as well. And for everyone who follows me on TikTok, let's say hello to Mr. Grumpy. Grumpy Cat is still doing great. He is wondering why I am holding a phone up to his face. And here is his buddy. They've both gotten really big, and it's been great to watch them grow. Another quick thing I wanted to cover is I have been growing houseplants out of the top of this aquarium in hanging planter boxes. So you can see they are hung via a wire that goes all the way up to the ceiling. And a lot of these plants have been doing pretty great. This plant has probably tripled in size. It does have some brown tips, probably because this soil does stay really wet because the bottom is submerged in the tank. This is a project that I was planning to talk about in another video. I just haven't gotten around to editing it on YouTube. But if anyone's interested, that is what's going on up here, but we're gonna ignore that for now. My number one tip for aquarium maintenance is to get a rolling cart. This is a clear rolling cart. I keep it next to my couch, but when I do aquarium maintenance, it's great to put a bucket on top, and it makes water changes really fast and easy. So let's quickly grab my bucket to get set up. Cool, okay. So as you can see, I've started just picking up some of the dead plant leaves, pulling them off. And then for some of the plants that I just know are too big and overgrown in front of the glass, I'm just taking them out completely. My plan is probably going to be to give these away locally or sell them or figure out who else wants them in the aquarium group. But for the most part, yeah, when you grow aquatic plants, sometimes you just have to give things away. Now for the next part of this video, I just want to caveat that my game plan for this tank is to change it up completely. So I really wasn't planning on keeping any of these plants. That's why you see I've now pulled them out and I'm going to give them a good rinse off in the sink. And the goal here really is to, number one, chop the roots so that the next person who gets this plant gets some really good growth out of it. Two, remove a lot of the dead leaves. And of course you could do this while your plant is still planted in the aquarium, but Again, these things were massive and the aquarium was a true jungle, so I felt like I really couldn't properly trim this plant back to health without looking at it up close and under the sink. And I also just wanted to remove a bunch of the pest snails that had found their way onto the leaves. And now you can see I've got a really nice group of plants ready for their next home. Now back to the disastrous tank. Because I let this thing get so overgrown, the Amazon swords have actually started sprouting new baby plants on these long runner type things. They're growing out of the water, so you can see that here. It's actually kind of neat, but I do want to just trim those back. And another pro tip I have is if you don't have a water can that has a handle that you can hang off your tank and use as a hanging bucket, you are missing out. Here you can see I'm grabbing a bunch of that disgusting nuisance algae off the floor of the tank, and then I'm literally just gonna plop it into my hanging bucket. So it's totally hands-free and very helpful. I can't even look at this right now. Now, I promised y'all in the title of this video that I was gonna show you how to clean this tank while being lazy. And I know it looks like I'm making a huge mess, but I promise there is a plan, so stay tuned. I'm gonna show y'all a really cool tip. So I actually ended up deciding to take out some of the rocks. Again, they're just littered with snails, and the fastest way for me to clean this tank without really overhauling it is to manually remove a lot of these snails. And yeah, I know this is kind of weird, but like I am gonna just use a scrub brush and scrub off the snails. I actually like the way some of this green algae has naturally grown to cover the white rock, so I'm not aiming for perfection. I'm really just getting rid of the snails. Cool, and now you can see the rock looks pretty good. I'm pretty excited to put it back in the tank. And speaking of the tank, here is my best tip. Grab yourself some polyfill from the fabric section of Walmart. It's the stuff you put inside of pillows to stuff them. Grab yourself a handy dandy aqua clear filter or any just kind of standard hang on the back filter. You're not setting up a permanent filter. You're just going to literally filter your aquarium back to clear water. So my main filter is still running on this tank, but you can see that this filter is going to start picking up all the debris from the tank. So instead of having to waste time gravel vacuuming, which in this tank would have taken 150 years, I'm literally just letting this filter do all the work for me. This is a huge time saver, and hopefully you guys like this tip. Cool, so I just want to show you a few days later how clear this water is, and I left one of the Amazon swords in the tank, and it started putting off all these little baby plants, so I'm super excited about that. The fish looks super happy, the substrate looks much better, and there's no more algae. So if you hate gravel vacuuming, I hope you liked my tips. And yeah, that's really all I have for today's video. Whenever I was done with those 2 temporary hang on the back filters, I just took out all of the debris that had been caught in the poly filter and then threw the poly filter out, and then those filters were ready to use for another purpose. If you guys liked this video, I would really appreciate if you subscribed. I am new on YouTube. I have some friends over on TikTok, but I would love to grow here on YouTube. Please click subscribe, and I'll see you soon.